Hi, welcome to Coaster Sean. Tonight I'm doing a video on my top 10 best coasters in the UK. Now, I say my top 10, obviously we're all different, we all have different ideas of what's good, what's bad. Some of these coasters, they just make me feel good, and that's why they're on the list. I'll probably wake up tomorrow with a different view, but this is how it is tonight, after an hard day at work, my top 10 coasters in the UK. If you like this video, can you make sure you like and subscribe, and it'll help me greatly. Now on to my number 10 coaster. So my number 10 in the UK is Mandel Mayhem at Chessington World of Adventures. Mandel Mayhem is one of the newer coasters in the UK. It's not a massive, great big fearless coaster. It is classed as a family coaster. What I would say is it's good fun and it's well themed. It's got some nice elements on there. There's a scorpion tail that it launches up backwards, and it is a wing coaster. It was the second wing coaster after the Swarm at Thorpe Park. Once the gardens become mature in the area, it'll look a really nice area. But like I said, I was only there a couple of weeks ago and I really did like it. Went back for more. I think I had 3 rides in the end. So number 10, Mandel Mayhem at Chessington World of Adventures. Now, number 9 is quite a strange one, but I've gone for Kamali at Flamingo Land. Going back a few years ago, Kamali was my favourite coaster in the country. I really did like that. Obviously, it's getting old now. It's not as smooth as it was a few years ago, but it's still a great coaster. Great height to it. That first drop, still when you do the right hand turn at the bottom, still lots of power on it. It is a Vekoma. It's a really nice part of the park as well. Still well themed. Could probably do with some work now on the paintwork. Last time I went, it was looking a bit faded, but overall, really adds to the theme of the park. And like I say, it's just as you go into the zoo as well at Flamingo Land, which is obviously another nice part of the park. So yeah, number 9, I'm going to go for Kamali at Flamingo Land. Number 8 is Smiler at Alton Towers. Now, Smiler would probably be higher up. It is getting a little rough now towards the end. In the early days, I really did like Smiler. Still do, still a great coaster. Obviously, it's got the 14 loops it's famous for. That's the most of any coaster in the world. Great for speed. Like I said, the power going through some of them loops is absolutely brilliant, and the theming is also top notch. So yeah, Smiler is a top quality coaster, fits in really well into X Sector at Alton Towers. My next coaster is Sick at Flamingo Land, another newer coaster, only been going over just over a year now. I say new, it was second hand when Flamingo Land bought it. It never operated though, it's come from Brazil. But yeah, Sick at Flamingo Land, it's got 10 loops on this one, it's a Intamin multi-inverter. It's the same as Colossus, nearly the same as Colossus at Thorpe Park. What I would say is Thorpe Park is the older one, so it's got the older trains, and it's not as comfortable. Colossus, again, is one of the rougher coasters. It tends to give me an headache, Colossus now, so yeah. But Sick is brilliant, it's faster. You go through the Heartline rolls much quicker, and like I say, it's only a lap bar. Not so much in the theming scores. It is what they call stylised, but inside the station's great. It's like a disco. You've got a lot of colour in there, a lot of flags, a real nice vibe. So yeah, my number 7 is Sick at Flamingo Land. My number 6 is Wickerman, GCI coaster at Alton Towers. It's been operating in the park now since 2018. A great wooden coaster. It's got some great theming in there, and like I say, once you get sat, if you get sat on the back row, there's some great forces pulling you down over the crests of the drops. Fantastic ride. So yeah, number 6, Wickerman at Alton Towers. I'm into my top 5. It's probably getting easier now because these are the ones that I ride the most. So my top 5 would start with my 5th best coaster in the UK is the Swarm at Thorpe Park. The Swarm is a massive B&M coaster. It's smooth as the day it was built, and also that this gets extra points for the theming around there. It's not just the coaster's theme, the entire area is themed to the coaster. It's an apocalyptic scene. I mean, the station is a church with the roof torn off. The sound effects are brilliant. Like I said, there's an ambulance in there, there's an upturn, there's a fire engine, a plane. There's some brilliant effects in there. So my number 5 coaster in the UK is the Swarm at Thorpe Park. My 4th best coaster in the UK, like I said, there's no science behind this video or anything like that, and on another day probably would be higher, but I'd have to say Nemesis Reborn. Now, I feel a bit harsh giving this a 4th position, but just today, the day I'm doing this video, I just felt better about 3 coasters, simple as that. But number 4, Nemesis Reborn, what they've done there this year is absolutely brilliant. Obviously, the Nemesis has been retracked. But the theming in there is brilliant now. The landscaping, I mean, there's still a lot of work going on. Obviously, Project Ocean's going into that area. But back to Nemesis Reborn, the forces, obviously there's a lot of elements in there. Yeah, a really good coaster. So my number 4, Nemesis Reborn at Alton Towers. So I'm into my top 3 now, and my number 3 coaster, again at Alton Towers, would have to be Oblivion. Now, Oblivion is the 98 original dive coaster machine. It went in Alton Towers as the first vertical drop. It was oversaw by John Waldley, that project, and what made it more special as well is that obviously before drones and the internet and things like that, you could actually close a park at the end of 97 season with a hole in the ground, and then people walk in March 98 and there's a great big dive coaster machine there. So it was great for that. I do remember it. I think it opened midweek and I went on the first Saturday. So yeah, my number 3, sentimental value there as well, is Oblivion at Alton Towers. I like my coasters to be fast and powerful, so there's no surprise here. My number 2, it is at Thorpe Park, and it is Stealth. Stealth went in 2006. It's an Intamin launch coaster, and it broke records. It does 0 to 80 in 1.8 seconds. It's got a great top hat. The top hat is 205 foot, so that's straight up, straight down, and then you straight into the brake run. Great for airtime as well. So yeah, number 2, Stealth at Thorpe Park. The theming in that area is great as well. You've got the great soundtrack, the music. So number 2, Stealth. So on to my best roller coaster in the UK this evening. I would have to say it is Colossus at Thorpe Park. No, not really. No, not Colossus. My best roller coaster this evening is Icon at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Icon is a Mack double launch coaster. It's one of the newer rides at Blackpool, well, the newest coaster. Obviously Blackpool is well known for its classic woodies, but Icon went in and it's fantastic. It's got some great forces. The launches aren't too powerful, but they're enjoyable. And I would also mention that it's got Enzo. I did pay £15 per Enzo seat at the back. Now, an Enzo is a spinning seat at the back. It did add a lot to the ride. I do advise people, if you can afford the £15, definitely worth doing. If you go on your own on Enzo, you do spin better. I went on with my boy, but we had a brilliant ride. All the way around, it was spinning. We got different forces. It totally changed the ride. You know, the surprise element, going over things backwards, really good. So my number 1 in the UK is Icon at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Anyway, that's my top 10 coasters. Thank you all for watching, and remember, if you have a frown, it's time you got upside down. See you in the next video. Goodbye.